when I see a game from either Spielworks or Blackfire, which Blackfire is kind of the basic version of a Spielworks, you can tell distinctively by the cover. I saw Calimala and I was like, ooh, this is another game I want to play. Every game that I have played from them, I've really enjoyed, whether it be La Granja, Arkwright, etc., down the line. And when I got Calimala, I said, oh, let me see what this one's about. So let me show you guys what this game is about. Calimala is played on this board. You have 5 different areas on the board. You have the action area, you have the scoring area, you have the churches area, and you have the main area, plus you have where you actually score points and track your victory points. So in the action area, what happens is on your turn, you're going to place one of your markers, in this case the blue player, and you're going to place it between 2 buildings. So you could pick one of 2 different actions in this case. There are 9 different actions in the game, and the 8 outside actions, you can change them up in each game. When you pick an action, you are going to do both actions. So you're going to do the wood action and you're going to do the caravan action. If you realize that you don't have one of the 2 actions, then you're going to get a card with a different action from a deck, and later on you can play a card to then trigger the action later in the game. When you play an action and there's already other people's chips here, what happens is you're going to get the action, then white, which is neutral, does nothing, then blue, which is third again, will get the action again. Then the 4th player, or the 4th one, which has already gotten actions along the way, will then go out here and trigger a scoring. So in this case, it will trigger Troyes to score. And at the time, you're going to look and see who has the most cubes in Troyes, and that is what's going to trigger a scoring. So there are 9 different actions in the game, and all of these actions are important. The 2 basic ones are, or 3 basic ones are brick, wood, and marble. When you trigger that action, you're going to come to your warehouse on your board and you're going to either put wood, brick, or marble into their respective spaces. Obviously, if you had one of your chips and you do it again, you're going to get a wood for the first chip, and then you're going to get a wood for a second chip, so you might get 2 woods in a row and really fill up your warehouse with wood. Then the next action we're also going to fill up is with cloth. Cloth fills up in the top warehouse. Later on in the game, with the build action, which I'll get to, you'll be able to put more warehouses in, and then if you do a cloth, you get 1 cloth in the first warehouse, 1 cloth in the second warehouse, and eventually you might be able to get cloth in 3 different warehouses at once. So let's get to the build action. In the build action, you have 3 different things you can build, and they're all important in the game. You can build trading houses in each of the 3 land areas. So I could build a trading house in Troyes, for example, or in Bruges or in Hamburg. You could build one in each, or you could build a boat. When you build a trading house, you're going to be spending 2 brick. When you build a boat, you're going to be spending 2 wood. If you build a second or third workshop for cloth or silk, then you're going to be spending 1 brick and 1 wood to do that. Now, the reason you need the boats and the reason you need the trading houses is because there's 2 different actions here. One action is sail and one action is ship via a wheeled cart. And so when you ship via a wheeled cart, what you're going to do is you're going to take your cloth from your space, and every single space that you have a trading house, you're going to put 1. So if I had a trading house in 2 different areas on the board, I would put 1 cloth here, 1 cloth here, assuming I had the cloth in my workshops at the time. With boats, for each boat you have, you can take a cloth for each boat from any of your warehouses, and you could ship them out to here. In this case, you don't have to go to different boating ports. You could actually put them all in one boating port if you want. So you could really power up a boating port with lots of cubes, because again, the cubes are area majority. So if the green player, for example, had a few cubes here, the green player would actually have the majority in Lisbon when the Lisbon scoring is triggered. So in addition, you can build art. You can build art in either the Palazzo Vecchio or one of the three churches. The churches are going to have the same thing. Each of the churches will score once, and when they do, you're looking at everything here, because in addition to using your marble to build artwork, you could also use your hands and support the church. And what you do is you can take either raw wood, brick, or marble, and you could take, let's say, wood, and you could put it right to the church. When you put it right to the church, then that's building up your resources for obviously the area majority in that region. So those are all the different actions you can do. As I was explaining, when you get to a point that there's 3 in the stack, the 4th one in the stack will then trigger. The first 3 will get their actions. The 4th one will then trigger a new scoring on whatever comes up. So these 5 will score, then these 5 will score, then these 5 will score. There's an interesting mechanic in the scoring, because what happens if 2 people are tied? So there are tiebreakers in this, and that's the Palazzo Vecchio. So you could put artwork in here, or you could put or you get seats along here. So what happens is you count up all of your artwork and all of your seats, and whoever has the most artwork and seats in the palazzo wins the tie if there's an exact tie in a space when the scoring goes off. If there was an exact tie, then you count the number of seats, and if the seats are tied, then you would go to whoever got their seat earlier. So in this case, green would win. If blue does this, then blue would win. So what happens during scoring? There is each region on the board, the 6 of them, the 3 of them here, plus each different type, delivering each of these 3 different types, doing the artwork, total for how much you housed, and total for how much you boated. Those are all going to score during the game. First place gets 3, second place gets 2, third place gets 1 in each area. Later on, at the end of the game, there is going to be special scoring. Depending how many players, there will be some cards face up, and there will be some in your hand. So everyone's going to have one secret objective, and the secret ones are worth 5, 3, and 1. So if my secret objective is London, like this card is, I'd want to win London during the game, but I'd really want to win London at the end of the game, because the 5 points are very big. The game really is close, and getting a few points at the end of the game could make the difference of winning or losing. There's one last thing that I haven't explained. As you can see, there's white chips. Everyone gets a certain amount of white chips, and if you use a white chip, you get double action. So if I use the white chip here, I would get 2 woods, and I would get 2 delivery to the land-based carts as well. When a white chip is on the bottom, whoever plays it, let's say blue played it, the white chip would come away, blue would get the white chip back, and would then take a blue chip out of their supply and put the blue chip up here. So there's a way to get those double actions. It's an interesting choice because you get a double action immediately, but then no further. But if you put your regular chip and it goes all the way down, you're going to get 6 actions out of that instead of 4, and eventually you'll get a piece there. Well, Calimala is definitely on the simpler end of their line of games. I really like the mechanic where you're picking 2 different actions. I like the stacking mechanic because it's kind of interesting how if there's a certain action that people are going to want, the stack gets higher and higher, and you get more and more actions. So you kind of want to put your circles where you know that you can chain off other people when they also want that same action. You're going to then get bonus actions, and the more bonus actions you get, the more total actions you're going to get in the game. I found that very interesting. That mechanic of how you get your actions is a very, very interesting and cool mechanic. The game itself is a simple area control majority game. The rest of the game, the way it comes out, you're looking at the different regions or the different areas and saying, this is what's going to be the next one that scores, this one's the next one. So everyone kind of fights for that same thing, and you're fighting for an area. Some people look ahead of you, some people fight for the same area. It's, like I said, it's a very basic game besides the mechanic, but the mechanic is really cool. I really like this mechanic. I like as the stacks get higher, if it's a stack of 3, if you trigger that again, it's going to then trigger a scoring. So when you're in the lead in somewhere, you're going to want to trigger a scoring. When you're not in the lead, you might want to wait. Or when you're in the lead of the next 2 after the first one, you might want to trigger one so that yours will get triggered next, because there's certain actions that people want more than other actions. I found that very interesting. On the other hand, the cards felt very random. When you don't get the action you want and you have to take a card, it's kind of cool because you have these cards, but you might get a card in something you don't need. Early in the game, the cards are much more useful, but later in the game, if I've already built my three buildings, or if I've already built my 3 ships, and I get another build card, I'm like, I don't really need to build. What am I going to do with this card? And at the end of the game, I found that I had cards in my hand that were completely useless. And it's like, okay, I'm never going to be able to use this card because I've already built everything I could build. I don't know. The rules weren't clear, but can I use a build card and say I can't build and then take another? I don't think so, because it was only the actions on the board. So at the end of the game, everyone in the game had extra cards that they never used. And it felt like wasted actions. And at the end of the game, because the way our game played out, the hand action where you're going to put pieces into the 3 churches, that action, everyone digging through the deck, going, please give me the hand one, so I could put some of these pieces out, some of these wooden brick pieces out onto the board to get more points, or to get the majority controls. I felt that the cards were a little too random, but I feel that the rest of the game is very solid. It's like I said, a simple area control game. The picking of your actions is the meat of the game. That's where the game really shines, and it's a great mechanic. It's a great new interesting mechanic, and I really enjoyed it. So for me, I'm going to give Calimala a 7. I enjoyed the game a lot. I did feel that there were some flaws in it, like the card deck, but I really like this mechanic. And if you're looking for interesting new mechanics or interesting ways to play your actions, this is one of the most interesting mechanics for playing your actions out there. It's another solid game from their line, and I love Euros, and this is not a heavy, this is a light to medium weight Euro, and it plays in about an hour or so. So if you're looking for something shorter, but that gives you a lot of interesting choices along the way, this is a good game for you, and that's Calimala.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.